The 9 Years Podcast.
Alright everybody, and welcome to episode 79 of the 9 Years Podcast with myself, Nick Draper, and my co-host Stuart Deakins. And Stuart, of course, last week I mentioned that episode 78, the number 78 reminded me of our great world record-breaking unbeaten league run. 79, of course, reminds me of that great song by Bryan Adams, wasn't it? In the summer of 79. What a tune that was.
Of course, a great tune.
Great tune. Wasn't he also at number one for like 79 weeks with Everything I Do It For You?
The Robin Hood theme. Not a Robin Hood theme, but that one, yeah, it was
Robin Hood, yeah.
It was Robin Hood. It was great to start off with, but it got a bit boring after a couple of weeks, didn't it?
It's like our podcast.
Well, you could say that, yes.
You could say that indeed. Does make me think, we had some, what other long-running, Umbrella by Rihanna, that was a long-running number one that seemed to be around for ages, but is never mentioned anymore. Are there any others? None that come to mind.
No, because a lot of music nowadays sort of goes to number one and then all of a sudden something else then comes into number one. You don't really get long-running number ones anymore, do you? Because of download sales, I suppose, and stuff like that. But
the instant society that we live in. Instant gratification. You hear a song, you like it, you buy it, and then, as you say, next week there's a different one.
Yeah, what's going on these days? You used to go out and buy an LP or a CD. What are them days now?
They've all gone. Although HMV, I think, this, to be honest with you, I could be remembering this, and actually this was years and years ago, but they still have the headphones in the HMV where you can just plug in and listen to whatever they're playing.
Remember that, yeah. Do you know what's interesting? I went to week before last, I went to get my iPhone fixed, the battery problem in the Bental Centre in Kingston. And actually, because we were waiting, I had to wait 3 hours for it to be fixed. Went into HMV just to see whether anyone actually goes into these stores anymore. I must admit, Larry and I were bored after 2 minutes because DVD now, well, I don't get a DVD because I can stream it. I don't get any music because, as you say, I can just go and go Shazam, listen to it and play it. I don't know why they have an HMV. How long? You have to wonder how long HMV and stores can survive those.
Well, the thing is, I'm a bit of a traditionalist, so I do enjoy popping into an HMV, getting the physical hard copies of a DVD or a Blu-ray, same as I like my books, as you know. Pop into a Waterstones, grab a book, get a newspaper in the mornings. I don't think... Eventually I'm going to have to probably give this up. In years to come, it will be too expensive to mass produce all these things, and everything, like you say, will be downloadable and streamable and whatever. I'm holding on to those old-style, physical, tactile things that we use.
Yeah, and of course we have this discussion, don't we, when we do away games, when you bring in your newspaper in hard copy and I bring it on the iPad. So I think that's the best way. It's digital, and also the quality of the pictures about.
Of course, because that's what you care about, isn't it, as we discovered last week? So it's all about the pictures.
Yeah, I get bored with text.
It's a good thing we do a podcast, isn't it?
Definitely.
People can listen to it, as opposed to having that hardship of having to read. But anyway, enough about that. Let's get going. Top 7 lists.
Yes. So
you sound very excited by this week's top 7 list.
Yeah, because I always try and keep it topical. So of course, I went to the away game this week. I was really impressed. Not at Shrewsbury, because that was on Saturday, but I was at Gillingham on Tuesday night, courtesy of our good friend Mark Hendricks, who kindly, as a wedding present, got me a ticket. How nice is that? Very nice. Really appreciate it from Mark, actually, and also drove me to the game as well. So what more could you want? Had a good evening, and I just there was a chant from the Gillingham fans and Wimbledon fans that just made me chuckle, and it got me thinking what my best chants and also our best songs are. So I've done my top 7 chants / songs, and they might include Wimbledon and also maybe other clubs that I've heard. Do we go?
Yep, off you go.
Cool. Okay, so from last night, the classic song of How Shite Must You Be, We're Winning Away.
Yeah, I think we were all singing that at 1-0.
Yeah,
even at home.
Which was then also when Gillingham scored, How Shit Must You Be, We're Winning at Home. So they obviously were, to be fair, both teams were rubbish in terms of their form going into it. And then I've got when Leicester were playing Derby County the other week on the FA Cup. Leicester fans are singing the Champions of Europe. You'll never sing that, which just made me chuckle, bearing in mind where Leicester are in the league. And in terms of songs, the Michael Hughes song, Still love the Michael Hughes song, Is Magic. Not going to sing these songs, by the way. People will know what they are. The Champagne song.
Say that, but there's many of our listeners that wouldn't have been around in the late 90s when Michael Hughes played for us in the early years of the new millennium. So just remind me of that song.
So Michael Hughes' Magic. He wears a magic hat. I don't know how it goes now. You've got
plays for Wimbledon FC. He's such a lovely chap.
He scored with his left foot, he scored with his right, and when we played at Palace, he scored all the night. But anyway, yes, that's that song. Okay. Thank you for that, I forgot that. A Champagne song, which I'm not going to sing. Everyone knows a famous Champagne song.
I've heard that one. How's that go?
Yeah, no, we're not going to go into that one. The Mick Harford song.
Oh, well,
this
is difficult now because of where he's ended up.
Yeah, but the song was still very good.
Okay.
He also had a challenge. He had a challenge career, didn't he? He also went to Luton, so that was a challenge.
Oh, yeah,
But the Mick Harford song was just classic, purely because of the fact it was a "Hey Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind, hey Mickey," to probably one of the hardest people we've ever signed. It just didn't really fit. The song didn't fit the persona of the person, which made it even better. So also the Samora song. So Bobby Samora, obviously hit the shelf or hit the back of the net. That song.
Hit the shelf.
Hit the back of the shelf. You never heard that? Back of the shelf?
Hit the shelf.
The shed, or whatever it's called.
In the back of Rosette.
Yes, that's the word. And then finally, the Jeremy Kyle song that we sing. And it obviously goes, we've seen you before on Jeremy Kyle, we've seen you before. It's a killer. It's so funny. The way fans, when you sing that, they just look at you complex because they probably tend to agree with it as well. And it's a good line to shut up the away fans. So yeah, just got me thinking about some of the songs and chants that I like.
Thank you very much, Stu. Now, I have to be honest, I'm not going to say who, but a listener of the 9 Years podcast contacted me in the week and said, maybe this week for your top 7 list, you could do the top 7 Stewisms. I think you were saying.
Wow.
And unfortunately, I didn't quite have the time to compile the perfect top 7 list of silly things that Stu has said on the podcast. Do not worry, I will get this done when I have a little bit more time to prepare it. However, I think we've just had a new entry. That's why I mention it now.
I probably know also who asked it.
I'm not telling you that. That's classified information.
I think I know who it is, but I will leave that between you and me.
When we launch or release the minutes of our planning meetings on the website in about 6 months' time, that section will be redacted. You'll never know. Instead, I've gone totally left field. Everything is wrestling related, is it not, Stu, at the moment? Because WrestleMania is very, very close.
Yes.
And obviously you can't have a wrestling ring without ropes. And what do you do with ropes? You tie them into knots. So I have got my top 7 knots.
Of course you would.
Which this week are the handcuff knot, the granny knot, the Gordian knot, made famous by Ian Rankin's novels, Angler's Loop, Pratt knot, the common whipping knot, and finally the Munter hitch knot, which I think you'll agree is a classic knot.
What about Billy Knot? Oh, wrong subject.
Yeah, you got a good point there. Probably should have gone Billy Knot. That would have been funnier. Never mind. Might have been the longest introduction to the show we've ever had.
It is.
Yeah, we went quite a long time there. I struggle to last 5 minutes normally. We've gone well above that this time. So we should probably move on. Pretty sharpish. So this week we're just going to have a general chat about how things are, because there's this word that we did mention on the podcast last week, but more and more of our fans seem to be mentioning it. Or if they're not saying the word itself, the R word, they are making reference to it. Bottom 4, for instance, for example. We're talking about how much danger we are in suffering a certain fate that begins with R. All the usual other features. We've got loads this week, Stu, haven't we? We've got an academy update from you. We've also we'll look back at the Gillingham and the Shrewsbury games. We'll look ahead to the weekend's football, Holy on Go, and to a tango, of course, as always. Should we begin? Let's go back in time. Let's go back before Gillingham, even before Shrewsbury. Let's go back to Coventry. And I'll tell you why. I was looking at our Facebook page, and prior to the Coventry game, I asked a question on our Facebook group. I asked the members there, what do you think is the minimum return we can accept, from the games against Coventry, Shrewsbury and Gillingham. Okay? So we're looking at a maximum of 9, a minimum obviously of 0. The common consensus was that 5 points would be ideal. Gary Fletcher says he thought we'd get 3 because the way we're playing at the moment isn't great. And he didn't think we'd do any better than 1 win and 2 defeats or 3 draws. But most people seem to think Ben Bond was happy with 5, Ian Robertson was happy with 5, John Yates was happy with 5, Dean Parsons, I'd settle for 5 points, and a couple of away goals. We've got the away goals there, Dean. We've ended up with 2. Should we be worried? Or do we look at the points we've gained in that time, especially on Tuesday night against Gillingham, and think some dodgy performances in there, but we've ended that 3-game span. All right, only with 2 points, but we've probably ended it better than we began it, which can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it depends on when you looked at the game. So if you just after the Coventry game, you and I were a little bit worried with our performance level, and we scraped a draw, which we didn't deserve. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't really think many people felt it was a deserved point, and Coventry were hard done by. But hey, that's the way it goes, isn't it? However, once you go past Shrewsbury, by all accounts, we had played a lot better, tempo was better, created chances, which we hadn't really done an awful lot of, but got done by a late set piece. If you ask me after Tuesday night, I'm reasonably confident now, and actually, even though it's a 2-point return, we haven't lost against teams. We haven't lost against Coventry, who could have obviously gained the 3 points, and also against Gillingham on Tuesday night. That would have been a big loss because of Gillingham, of course, so just underneath there. It now keeps them far enough away for them to worry about their own relegation battle. And I'm in a bit happier place than I was probably Tuesday night after the Coventry game.
Tuesday night after the Coventry? Yes, last Tuesday night, sorry, of course. Well, yes. Oh, sorry, yes. I was thinking, of course you're in a better place than you were on Tuesday night, because on Tuesday night you're in Gillingham. And there are very few places that aren't better.
Have you been to Gillingham? It's like a throwback to the 80s, isn't it? It
really is. I think there's only one place that falls below Gillingham on the places I'd least like to visit in the country, and we all know what comes last, don't we? Yes, Watford. You mentioned the Coventry game and how we were lucky to scrape a point at the end there. Was that then? Did we sort of get, I don't want to say revenge, or did we get our own back or anything like that, because those aren't quite the right phrases, but a last-minute loss to Shrewsbury, was that sort of payment for getting the equaliser against Coventry, and did things even themselves out because of that?
It sometimes does, doesn't it? Football's, as they say, is a funny old game, isn't it? But I couldn't help smile in a way when we did concede a late goal. Not because I enjoy losing, I don't. But you just sometimes football, we don't deserve a point against Coventry, and then we concede a late goal against Shrewsbury. So sometimes, I wouldn't say it evens itself out, but it's just football, isn't it? Lots of goals are scored late because people obviously push forward, they're chasing a lead, people get tired, and they're always late goals. And in that, the goal we conceded against Shrewsbury was disappointing. It was a straightforward corner that Paul Robinson was out jumped at the back stick. Bit of a disappointing goal. But I think if we're judging performances, and even though it's a results business this time of season, performances since the Coventry game, so the Shrewsbury game and the Gillingham game on Tuesday night, definitely increased. So there's a bit more, from my point of view, I'm a lot more confident that we are now playing at a tempo and a performance that possibly could give us points moving forward next couple of games.
Now, the Shrewsbury game featured a fairly controversial moment. I've not seen it back, but Tom Elliott had a goal disallowed.
Yeah, I've watched it back on the Dons player. It's really hard to see what the referee has failed on. It's interesting. I was chatting to a few friends that went there, and they sort of said if you looked at the goal, there was nothing wrong with it. But in the context of what he let go, the actual referee on the afternoon, in the context of what he let go, it was amazing that he then pulled up for what was nothing. Great ball in by Andy Barcham, and Tom Elliott just gets a run, gets up early, gets a header. The defender, and it's always interesting, the defender's reactions. The defender is literally, it's just a set to goal, and then when he turns around, you could just see that relief in his whole body language. He wasn't appealing for a free kick. He knew he got done on the header. But yeah, the referee's penalised us for, and it's a shame.
Neil Ardley questioned the referee following the game, but I pointed out again on our Facebook group, shouldn't we be looking at ourselves? And the goal we conceded, the winner for Shrewsbury, was an appalling goal to concede. it's very difficult when it comes to set pieces and goals from corners because, and I might have mentioned this in the podcast before, but most clubs will look at their success rate from attacking corners, and they're looking at whether they're scoring enough goals from set pieces, enough goals from corners. They're also looking at conceding them and thinking we shouldn't be conceding goal from corners. You can't have it both ways. So where do we stand on our defensive work when it comes to set pieces such as that? I thought it was a very poor one. I didn't think it was a great cross, a great delivery. I think it should have been one that we should have dealt with a lot more easily.
Yeah, I agree. When I saw it back, I was really disappointed because Robbo gets caught underneath. It's just a straight run, isn't it? It's nothing. The ball coming in is just nothing special. It's just a flat driven ball. It's just, don't get me wrong. When the bloke gets up and gets the header, it's a great header. But I don't think Shea can be doing too much really with it. The power's on the ball. But it's for a late goal, you just sit there and think it's individual errors again. We've got to eradicate that from our game. Going back to Shrewsbury's first goal, that's an error as well in terms of before the free kick. The free kick gets deflected, of course, but if you actually look in the build up to the free kick, Tom Sewell's on the halfway line, thinks he's in something like Barcelona and got a massive pitch and no one around him. Tries to take touch after touch after touch, gets dispossessed in midfield, and then they're breaking on us, and we ended up bringing them down for the free kick. So it's just individual errors at the moment. We've just got to be a bit quicker, and that's why I say about tempo. When we play at a high tempo, that's when we're effective. When we play at a slow tempo, we make mistakes. And Neil Hardy does allude to that in his interview, that we've got to stop these individual mistakes. We can't keep scoring the ones we can't keep scoring the twos and threes away from home, definitely to save ourselves points at the moment.
Defensively poor for the goals against Gillingham as well. Looking back at them, not great. Not great. We slightly perhaps unlucky with the second one. It was not offside, as I think when you're watching it the first time round, it looks clear. It looks a clear offside, but it does appear that Sean Kelly's just playing the striker onside, isn't he? But the build-up to it seemed a lot of, very, very poor. Yeah,
I agree. Both goals are terrible. So we take the first goal. Darius was brilliant all night. He was my man of the match on Tuesday night. But he just gets done. If you look at the goal, we don't. Bradley Dack on the right is out there, and he doesn't. Darius goes in to get a challenge, and in the end, he just basically gets he doesn't get tackling, and he's out of the game. So he's wide on the left hand side, and then Jake Reeves in a defensive position, and if you look at it, Jake Reeves shows him inside. It's unbelievable. Defensively, you want him to get his body shape in to go, do you know what, if you're going to go outside of me, great, but don't let him go in, guy. Does a shimmy and slots it in. It's just terrible. And it's also a couple of minutes after we scored that goal, which is even worse on that sort of side of it. The second goal was a foul initially, although it's a foul, but when I look back at it again, the real time, I thought it was a definite foul. He body checked him, got his body in front. Looking back at it, I've looked at it a couple of times. I'm a bit disappointed how easily Kelly gets nudged off the ball, if I'm being truthful. And then from there, yes, he chases back in. What happens is, and the reason why James Shea is going so mad is because the player in front of him gets a nick and he's offside. But actually, because Sean Kelly actually runs off the pitch, that actually means that he's basically counted as being on the goal line and plays everybody on side, which is why it's not offside. Initially, I thought James Shea was running to moan about the free kick, which again felt a bit weird. And may I say, I've never seen James Shea run so quickly. I reckon I don't think Polion would beat him over that period of that 40 yards. He run proper and got booked for his protest, which is not like James Shea.
Maybe we could organise a foot race between James Shea and Dominic Polion. And then, just as they're about to set off, we can say, Polion, go.
Of course we could.
We could. We probably won't. But we could.
We could.
All this defensive talk, though, does... The flip side of it is we've scored away from home. I can't believe we've got this far. We have sort of started as a bit of a negative, but let's look at the positive. 3 goals away from home in 2 games after a drought of whatever ridiculous amount of minutes and hours it was. First away league goals since October. Andy Barcham with 2 of them. And certainly both goals on Tuesday night at Gillingham, we took them very, very well, actually. I thought the finishes were all very, very good.
Yeah, well...
Why do we think why were we so poor for so long in that regard?
I don't know. I think it's confidence. I think I go back to tempo. We've just started to play now a little bit with the tempo. Gillingham, I've got to be honest with you. I don't think Gillingham were great. You can only play. You can only compete against what's against you. But I don't think Gillingham were great. You know, you and I have been to Priestfield Stadium many a time, but I really can't remember an atmosphere that was so flat by them. I'm just looking. I think the attendance was just over 4.5. Yeah, 4. Sorry, just under 5. But it felt like there was only 2,000 or 3,000 in it. It's just flat. I don't think Gillingham were that great. And I think it allowed us to play a bit more of a tempo. We played more to feet. We played down the channels. Went to a 4-4-2, which I think is making a bit of a difference. Fitzpatrick wide right gives them all sorts of problems. And it's interesting actually because Gillingham went with a 3-4-3 formation. Played Deji as a larger wide left, so he's actually up against Fitzpatrick, which was an interesting battle for the evening. But I don't think Gillingham were that great. So actually, we were able to, rather than where Charlton and commentary really did press us really quickly, we ended up playing aimless balls to Tom Elliott. We actually could get more quality into Tom Elliott on Tuesday nights. I think that was a bit of a difference.
Neil Ardley's turned into a bit of the Claudio Ranieri, hasn't he? With all the tinkering recently, different formations, changes within games. Do you think, we mentioned this last week, but do you think 4-4-2 is our best bet over the next few weeks? It's a difficult question because although we said, and you said there, we looked pretty lively in that setup and David Fitzpatrick coming in, giving us that natural width on that side. Flip side to my question is, of course, saying going forward, we might look better, but of course, Scunthorpe away, Bolton away, are these the sort of places we want to go with that setup? Or, like you say, if we're not cutting out those individual errors, if we're struggling defensively, which we are at the minute, to avoid those mistakes, are we not just better off just having a go, trying to take the game to some of these clubs?
Well, yeah, you could argue sometimes. You could argue Sheffield United away, we might have set up to contain them, consider go in the first minute, your game plan's gone. So, yes, should you just gone for it? It's a difficult one, isn't it? I don't know about the 4-4-2. I still don't think the wide players are strong enough in terms of the other way. There was a couple of times on Tuesday night where Andy Barcham probably more than David Fitzpatrick, but Andy Barcham was terrible going the other way. Doesn't really help Sean Kelly at all. There's too many times when I just felt Sean Kelly was exposed for the fact that Andy Barcham wasn't tucking in and doing the defensive side of it. I think David Fitzpatrick's better. I wouldn't say you're probably better in the fact George Frankham's not a bad defender that side. I think he's quite solid. Although I don't think he didn't have a good game on Tuesday night, and I think he's still getting used to that defensive responsibilities, and still his shape and his positioning still is getting used to it. And we've got to understand that he hasn't played right back for many, many years. So positional wise, he's going to be struggling. And I think his delivery actually wasn't that great when he did get the ball. But maybe we do go for it. The second half was miles better. Took Sean Kelly off. I think he had a knock after the foul on him for the free kick. Sorry, for the second goal. Will Nightingale come on, play wide right of the three. And do you know what? We battered them second half. And it's interesting. I've just listened to the interview from the Gillingham manager. And I'm laughing at what he's saying because he basically thought they deserved the 3 points. And I'm just laughing my head off because we battered them second half. Battered them.
And that is in the 3-4-3 setup there, you say, with Will, Darius. And was George Frankham then tucking in as a third defender there? Is that
so we played, yeah. So we played what we did. We played 3-5-2. So Dave Fitzpatrick played in the hole just behind Tom Elliott and Lyle Taylor, and then you had Barcham and George Frankham as your wing backs, and that's how we did it. And then once we took off Fitzpatrick for Don Polion, we then went at 3-4-3. The only thing that I was concerning really was the formation done well, but early on in the season, we could basically make substitutions and bring Don Polion on or bring Barnett on, and the forward substitutes made an impact. What I would say on Tuesday night is Don Polion and Barnett didn't make any impact. In fact, they weakened us. We do have some sorry figures at the moment. Don Polion is striking me as a figure that just needs a goal. His whole body language, he's shooting from silly angles, and I don't know if you've seen the goals back, but there's on the highlights. there's an actor. So it sums up. Don Polion gets the ball, which is out the area, tries to take a shot from nothing, gets caught. long ball, and all of a sudden we're 1-on-1 with James Shea. James Shea saves the 1-on-1. 60 seconds later, the ball's in the back of the Gillingham net. But Don Polion put us in a terrible position, because he makes a shot when there's just not a shot on, but he was taking pot shots from everywhere. He wants a goal. You can tell he needs a goal, and the longer it goes, I can sense the sulkier he's going to get.
Interesting. There's a couple of things you touched on there: formations, squad depth, substitutions, all these things. I have a feeling we're going to talk about a little bit later into the show, but let's just wrap up for the time being our 2 away games from the past week. We had some man of the match polls, starting with Shrewsbury. Thank you very much, George Jones, I believe, putting this poll up for us on Twitter at 9YRS Podcast. Might be our first ever tie. 2 players ended up on 30% of the votes, Stu. And they were Tom Elliott and Jake Reeves. Darius Charles only just falling short with 28%, and Paul Robinson on 12%. So joint winners there, Tom Elliott and Jake Reeves, for the Shrewsbury defeat. Only 33 votes, which is unsurprising. We do tend to notice this, don't we? There's a defeat. Fewer people want to get involved, and that's fair enough. A lot more for the point at Gillingham. And Andy Barcham looks set to take that award at time of recording. By the time you're listening to this, I'm sure he would have done with 42% of the vote. James Shea on 23%, which is interesting. Lyle Taylor and then Darius Charles on 18 and 17 respectively. So thank you very much for everyone that voted in those polls. Thank you again to George. And then 3-word reports from Gillingham. We had lots and lots. James Anstey at James Anstey 44 went for Dak the Knife. Bradley Dak scored, I believe. I can't remember which order the goals went now, actually. You were there. Was he first or second?
For the Gillingham goals?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was too busy looking at our next section. So he switched off.
Well, I'll be impressed if he scored for us. Let's just put it that way.
So Bradley Dak was the first goal, and then the second goal was the... Actually, I don't actually know. He scored the second goal. I was too busy laughing. I say laughing. I was too busy to see what James Shea was doing. Wright was their goal scorer.
Oh yes. Now was that the former guy that was at Hampton, Richmond, and Luton and places like that? Was that Danny Wright? Or am I getting confused with someone else entirely?
No, it's not. No, it's not him. I don't think.
Whatever happened to him?
I don't know.
He was prolific at one stage, but anyway. Jamie Vardy was last season. Say no more. Mike Overall at Mike_Overall scoring for fun. Now that we're actually scoring goals away from home, we had quite a lot here. Actually, let me just flick through. Tim Lloyd at Tim_. Let me try that again. At Tim_Lloyd1, which should have 1. WON, obviously. But Hannah Kitcher at Han Kitcher went for I'll take that. Wimbledon fan page account at Wimbledon Polls said Sutton changed us, and I'm sure that's something that we will speak about shortly. Very, very sure we will. Meerkat Oliveira at Meerkat_ back above franchise. We are back above that lot for the time being. And then Daniel Bethel at Bethel71, we didn't lose. Some very interesting range of opinions there on positives, negatives, the way we look at that game. But I'm thinking Hannah Kitcher with I'll take that, and then Daniel Bethel there at the end, we didn't lose, says something about perhaps our collective psyche at the moment as a fan base. But anyway, thank you very much for everyone that volunteered their report. Sorry if I didn't get to read yours. We had loads and loads and loads this week. Before we move on, Stu, do you want to take this opportunity now to catch up with some of the other teams around the club, what they're getting on with? How they've been getting on? Because we haven't really done this properly for a couple of weeks. We've fallen out of routine, so...
We haven't. So the under-21s, it is an under-21 competition, so they were in action also on Tuesday night in the London Senior Cup, and they were away to Redbridge. One of our old haunting grounds, wasn't it, at Redbridge? I think we played them a few times in the leagues coming up, so it's a shame it clashed with Gillingham, because that would have been a nice...
Are you sure? I think we played them once.
Well, it feels like we played them more than once. Well, we played them twice now, technically.
Wasn't that the Redbridge? Sorry, I'm going well off topic now. But Redbridge, wasn't that they were the old Ford Sports or something, weren't they? Redbridge FC, is that right?
Possibly.
And we went down to their place and won quite comfortably one season, like 3-0. And then the return game was that funny game where the mist descended and we had to take the players off for a little bit and wait for it to clear. The ref did a good job that night. Actually, we ended up winning 5-0. If I've got that completely wrong, please do let me know. But that seems
I think you're right. Anyway. So we played them in the London Senior Cup and we won 4-1 away. So goals from Chelsea Odosama, Alfie Egan and George Oakley. So nice to see Alfie getting some games. he does need game times. Whether he needs games against teams like Redbridge is another argument. But Alfie on the score sheet and George Oakley, so that's good. And a 4-1 win. That puts us through to the quarterfinals of the London Senior Cup, which we are away to Cray Valley. And then games are due from the 28th of January up to the 13th of March. So that game will come up thick and fast. Just to keep you where we are in London Senior Cup, the semi-finals, the London Senior Cup is always mapped all the way through to the quarter semi-final. So the winner of our tie will play the winners of Dulwich, Hamlet or Tooting and Mitcham, which some old foes in there. Just give up while we're going about the under-21s. Just let you know they are in action in the Premier League Cup, where we're on the groups. We're with Middlesbrough, Charlton and Fulham. They are away to Middlesbrough on the Monday before the Scunthorpe game. I know a few people that are going up and doing the Middlesbrough under-21 game and also the Scunthorpe away game, so good luck to them. But that is, if anyone's up in the area, that is being played at the Darlington Arena with a 1pm kickoff. So that's not too bad. We're currently bottom of that group, and we have 2 home games to finish off that group stage against Fulham and Charlton. And when I checked the website, it was showing as a 2nd of March was showing as a Fulham home game. Not too sure. The club might be able to. We might be able to chase for the club, but they are normally due to be played at the home ground. So I'm wondering whether actually they are going to be played at Kingsmeadow.
Middlesbrough in a group with us, Charlton and Fulham.
Yes.
How's that happened?
Yeah, I don't know, if I'm being truthful. And I did see we have already lost to Middlesbrough in the home game. We lost 1-0 at home to Mersham back in December, which I went to. But Middlesbrough did put out a very young team on the premise that we actually were putting out. I think we put out an under-18 team that night. We had loads of games. So I think it'll be a bit more competitive game. But it's a good competition. But yeah, Middlesbrough, Charlton, Fulham. Middlesbrough, Charlton, Fulham. Yeah. Weird one, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I don't think it is regionalised. Well, it's obviously not if we've got Middlesbrough.
Oh, well, this top 7 list when it comes is going to be brilliant. This group with Middlesbrough, is it regionalised? No, I don't think so. I could be wrong.
But like I say, a few people are going up to do the Middlesbrough game. Originally, it was planned for the evening. I think our own George Jones is actually going up, but I think his train gets in, around about lunchtime, so I think he may just catch the second half. So we are hoping to have some updates from that game on Monday next week before the Scunthorpe game, which, of course, how can we forget, is a beanbag. It will be available at the club for a £5 charge.
It will indeed, and we'll mention that again when we look forward to the week ahead at the end of the show. Thank you very much for those updates, Stu. Shall we have a 2-word tango?
Definitely.
This week we were contacted. Last week we mentioned if anyone had any suggestions for this, please let us know. You put the word out, didn't you?
Yes.
And David Peters at David Peters _ on Twitter suggested we go for clubs that have been in the Premier League but are not currently in it.
Good shout.
So, do you want to go first or should I go first?
You go first, please, and don't pick the one I'm going to pick.
I'll try not to, but I'm not sure how that will work in this game. But anyway, right, let's have a go. Clubs that were in the Premier League but are not currently in it.
Gotta listen out for this guy. It's a famous name, but don't flop. There's something like Sebastian Coe. Celebrity 2-word tango.
Oldham Athletic.
Newcastle United.
Aston Villa.
Nottingham Forest.
Sheffield United.
Sheffield Wednesday.
Norwich City.
Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Ipswich Town.
I can't think of any. There must be loads.
Yeah.
Sheffield United. Oh, what a fool.
Swindon Town. Wimbledon.
Yeah, that was too obvious.
Yeah, but you didn't have anything.
I know, because you nicked the ones that I was going to nick, because sensibly you went for championship teams and I was running out of championship teams. QPR, no, yes.
Oh, wow, QPR, yeah.
Wow, there's loads, aren't there, in that blooming graveyard.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest was a good shout, because I'd forgotten about that. But if you actually look through the leagues, Fulham, for instance, who are playing this evening as we record.
They don't really count, though, do they, really?
Well, I'm saying nothing. Keeping my mouth zipped.
You can't count a club that has a neutral end.
No, this is true, actually. Oh, Barnsley. How I've made that link from Fulham to Barnsley. Yeah, because do you know what? When you look at Barnsley on TV, that away end always seems huge because it's always very empty. And it's the same for Fulham's neutral end.
Yeah, true. Barnsley was probably my best ever away game that I ever went to. One, you have to go to Sheffield and get on the most crazy train that's got 2 carriages that feels like it was built in the 1900s. And then that day, it basically was all 4 seasons. It was sun, snow, rain, everything in one day. I think we lost as well. Yeah.
We lost 2-1, yeah. And they got relegated that season. It was very poor form.
Yeah, but Barnsley. I don't know how you got a Barnsley on that, but yeah, thank you very much. Whoever suggested that, by the way,
that was David Peters. You can follow David on Twitter at @DavidPeters_.
Brilliant. No, I'm really pleased with that. Thank you very much. And yes, I lost, so not so thank you, but yes.
So, how scared of relegation are we? Stu, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very scared, 1 being not at all scared, where are you in terms of the chance, the likability, that doesn't make sense, the possibility and the likelihood of us finishing in the bottom 4? Could I struggle any more to get a sentence out like I just did then?
That was quite funny. I would probably go with a 3 if I'm being truthful. I'm not that worried, especially looking back at some of the stats from previous seasons, last season. I'm not overly worried at the moment.
Do you not think, though, there is a horrendous... okay, let's be fair. We didn't get relegated that season either. But this season seems very similar to our first season in League 2, where we started really well. We were in those playoff positions. We were actually in those automatic positions in League 2 when we first started. We seemed to have this amazing away game at Morecambe, where we played possibly the best we ever played that season, which was then this season replicated with the performance at Peterborough, which I don't think we've hit the heights of since, not even Oxford at home, where we played well, but nothing like that Peterborough game. And then it all just fell apart. And the only difference being, although we managed to get a few wins at home towards the end of that season, we were aided immensely by a number of loanees that came in to help us out. We don't have that this season.
No. So we haven't had that injection. We had Tom Sawers, and we discussed last week, didn't we, that Tom's found it very difficult coming in from a team that was struggling from Bury. Incidentally, I was quite impressed actually with him on Tuesday night, and he's gradually starting to add that influence to the midfield. It's been a difficult season, and like I say, we've had some really good. I didn't see the Peterborough game, but everyone I speak to tells me how much of a great performance that was against a team that, let's remember at the time, were unbeaten at home and an excellent home record. We've had some good performances. We did start really well. Obviously, we started well because probably on the back of the playoff, although arguably you could say we lost away at Walsall, didn't we? We played obviously on Saturday, so we didn't. I think Walsall was a bit of a wake-up call, and there were some individual mistakes on that. But yeah, we have had a bit of a difficult time. By the way of our away form, some wins at Charlton and places like that. We have raised the expectation level, which then means the run we're having at the moment has put people a little bit flat and a bit panicky, which I understand.
Now, I'm looking at the league table as it stands. You've given us a 3 there for your worry about relegation, and we're 14th in the table. I don't know many clubs that would be in that position now that will be looking over their shoulders quite as much as some of our fans appear to be at the moment. But we're 6 points above the relegation zone. Our goal difference is fantastic in comparison to those down there. But we've got a very hard fixture list coming up. What worried me with what you said about the Gillingham game was that you weren't impressed at all with Gillingham, which you can look at one of 2 ways. One is, they're below us in the table. They're 4 points below us, so they're in a lot of trouble. Conversely, should we not have taken 3 points? Should we not have taken 3 points against Coventry? Should we not have done the same against Chesterfield when we played them recently away from home? Should we not have done the same at Shrewsbury?
Yeah, well, the thing about Tuesday night was it was the typical 6-pointer because if we had lost that, we'd have been on 39 points still, and then Gillingham would have been on 38. That would have shown you that would have been a big encouragement. I do think Gillingham are one of the clubs. I don't think one of the. Well, it must be if you're looking at the league table at the moment. You got Bury, Oldham, Gillingham outside of the relegation places. I don't see Shrewsbury. I just don't know. I think their recent form's better than the teams down there.
I think they've only got one defeat in 8 or something.
Yeah, their form's good. They're starting to find their form now. So I don't really worry about them too much. Would love franchise to get involved, but I don't see it. And again, they've got a healthy goal difference when you think about ours as well. The only team, when I look at it at the moment, I think Coventry are gone. Even though they picked up 4 points in the last 2 games, I just don't see how you can recover. They've basically got 9 points to recover with only, 14 games to go. They would have to put playoff form together, I reckon, to get out of that. So I think Coventry are gone. Chesterfield, equally, I think they've got too much to do. Swindon, I probably would say the bottom 3 there are basically taken care of. I just don't see Swindon. I think when we saw them at Kingsmeadow, they probably were the best. It's really weird. I thought they were probably one of the best technical teams, but a team that went nowhere. They went sideways. And if it was a contest of how many times can you hit each side of the pitch through so many passes, they won that hands down. But no cutting edge. Port Vale are the team that I think can probably catch Bury, Oldham, and Gillingham, and I worry about Gillingham because they are not performing.
What you're saying there is that all these teams, because we're looking at that group, if you include us for the time being, all right, if you do, looking at a group of roughly about 7 or 8 teams that are vying, that's the wrong word, trying to avoid one relegation place. You're saying those bottom 3 have gone. You've written them off. So really there's only one relegation spot left.
I think so.
And we should be all right. The only difference is, apart from Gillingham, I guess, but they've got a new manager in charge now as well. They've had a change of manager there, haven't they?
Who's that? Sorry, Gillingham?
Gillingham, yeah.
Yeah, who was the ex-manager of Forest Green Rovers, who failed to get promotion for a massive budget. I just felt Gillingham, it's probably the worst Gillingham team I've seen this season. This season, bearing in mind we've been 2-1 at home.
This is the worst Gillingham team you've seen this season.
Yeah, that makes no sense at all, does it?
No, but again, thank you.
So, I'll give you loads on one episode.
There's
what
so
more
many,
can you
I know.
want?
Just, yeah.
So, all right, Gillingham are the worst team I've seen. Let me start again.
No, that makes sense. The Gillingham are the worst team you've seen this season.
Well, there's worst teams, but I mean, out of all the Gillingham teams I've seen through the seasons gone by, this set of players is the worst. But when you look at their squad, it looks a great squad in terms of they spent a bit of money on it, but something isn't happening there. I don't think the manager's got. His manager hasn't won a game, so they got rid of Justin Edinburgh, brought in him. I just looked at them and felt they had no game plan. You've got players like Deji Ojolanja, you've got Bradley Dack, Cody McDonald. I just don't see how that team is struggling, but they have no structure. The atmosphere at Priestfield Stadium on Tuesday night was shocking, and I just sensed they could be dragged into it. And Port Vale are probably the only team that I think can, and they were probably the worst team I've seen at Kingsmeadow. So, yeah, it's a weird one. The funny thing I would say to you is when you look at it, is the goals that are being scored. So if you look at a club that was in trouble who weren't scoring, Oldham have scored 21 goals in all the season.
Yeah, but they've only conceded 33. They're only conceding on average a goal a game, which is the best record, joint best record with anyone outside of the playoffs.
But if you dry up, if you're free scoring, then you dry up. If you dry up in goals, when you're only scoring 21 goals in a season, it basically means that you're relying on your defence heavily. You're relying on 1-0s realistically, and that is although Oldham are serial escapes from relegation, aren't they? They always survive basically. But that would worry me with 21 goals, interestingly. Whereas Bury, for argument's sake, scored 50 goals, but have let in 61. So I know what you're saying. But if I was a Bury fan or Oldham fan, I'd be like, you know what, we don't score many goals. Bury, we score loads, and we can just work on stopping them the other end. We've got more of a chance. But yeah, generally the team that I think will probably, if Port Vale are going to get out, they've got 2 games in hand. If Port Vale are going to escape, then I just think Gillingham will be a team that will drop in, which would be amazing because I fancied Gillingham early on to do really well in the league.
If we were to concentrate on ourselves for the time being, though, ignoring what the other clubs are going to be doing, our fixture lists coming up aren't great. So you look at the top 6 currently, we've still got to go to 4 of those top 6. Scunthorpe, Bolton, Fleetwood and Bradford. the two the two other teams in that top six that we've already visited, we lost 4-0 at Sheffield United, 3-0 at Southend. So our record's not great. And otherwise, than looking at the clubs we've still got to go to, Scunthorpe beat us at home, Bolton beat us at home, Fleetwood should have beaten us at home, best team I've seen, personally, Bradford beat us at home. Okay? And then, although they don't, and okay, we're talking about end product and not scoring enough goals or anything, Swindon would fall into that bracket, but we still got to go there. We've still got to go to Port Vale. And Oldham are still to come and visit us on the final day of the season. So we've got a bit of work to do. It's not the easiest run-in that we could hope for.
No, I agree. It's interesting. Just to balance it, we're on 40 points at the moment, aren't we? And we hear this magical number of 53 always touted about. I had a look and see actually what teams were relegated on last season, and that is where it's quite interesting. So last season, 46 points was what Doncaster got relegated with. So
say that again. How many?
So last season, 46 points
right,
was the last relegation place. So Doncaster finished 21st.
That would be right. Yeah,
46 points.
Okay.
And got relegated. So 47, basically 47.
Surely we're looking at a high. Surely, I'm just looking at Port Vale, who are in that space now. They've got 15 games to go, and they're on 34.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? But also, them teams at the moment aren't averaging a point per game. So they're not picking up anything. So a lot of them do play each other. I don't think we need 53. I think we could probably be as low as 49, 50 for that, which again still means we've got to pick up 3 wins and a draw. 3 wins, possibly. So I think it's a given that we beat Franchise at home, isn't it?
Absolutely, that's the biggest given in football history.
And then we've got to look at probably the home games coming after that. I don't think Scunthorpe is as difficult game as it was 3 or 4 weeks ago. They lost their unbeaten home record a couple of weeks ago. I think if you're going to play Scunthorpe, you play them at this time because it's squeaky bum time. Last season, this is when they started to falter a little bit, when the pressure got on, and there is a pressure now for that. Bolton are chasing them heavily, have games in hand at the moment as well on Scunthorpe. So I fancy us to get something at Scunthorpe. How strange that may sound, I do. I fancy us to get something at Scunthorpe. And then, of course, we go into a couple of games, obviously, with the Northampton home game and then Franchise. I'd rather us not be waiting until we play the teams like Swindon away, etc., pick up the points. But we still got to play them, and they're poor teams. So I'm not too worried. I think 49 points, 50 points would do it. It could possibly be a couple of points less, and we would be okay. Now,
there's 2 things I want to talk about before we wrap this up. The first one is relegation for us is, and I didn't think I'd hear myself say this, but having got out of League 2, perhaps unexpectedly, playing above ourselves, finishing above where you'd expect us to finish, was fantastic. So we shouldn't really be in League 1 at this stage, but now we're here, we don't want to take a backward step with new stadium and chance to progress on the horizon. The reason I say that is because you're looking at a big group of teams down the bottom there, and I'm just going to look at the names of teams below us: Northampton, Shrewsbury, Gillingham, Bury, Port Vale, Swindon, Chesterfield. Okay, that's 7 of those 9 teams, right? They just seem to be clubs that traditionally bounce around the bottom 2 divisions.
Yeah.
They'll go up, they'll spend a couple of seasons in League 1, they'll come back down again, they attract the same attendances, no matter what division they're in, and things that just seems to be the status quo of things. Oldham have been in this league forever and a day. They've something like 20 seasons consecutively they've been in League 1, so they're just a League 1 club. And then you've got Coventry, who are in a bit of free fall. The only other exception there being Franchise, of course, and, well, let's not even go there for the time being. So for these sorts of clubs, they're batting around this level. It's not so much of a problem for them. For us, bear in mind, we're still playing in the smallest capacity stadium in the Football League. We must be among the lowest budgets in all of the Football League. A relegation would be a real backward step and be difficult for us to bounce back from until perhaps at such a time we get into a new stage. Do you see what I mean? We want to go into that new stadium on the crest of a wave and progressing and moving forward as opposed to having to take a step back. So it would be more of a chance for us. That's why I think people are starting to panic, really. Okay.
Yeah, and do you know what? Last season was interesting, wasn't it? I heard it the season before that as well, and people went, "We're not ready for promotion. This is in League 2." And I did laugh when people kept saying, "We're not ready." When are you ready? When it arises, you take it. And, let's be fair, we had a great run towards the end of last season, and we hit the playoffs. We caught Accrington at the right time after they mucked up the last day of the season, and we outwitted Plymouth by basically a tactical genius employed by Neil Ardley in terms of marking out their best player, and we got promotion. I would say, last season, if you said to me, getting promoted, are you too bothered? I'd have gone, do you know what? I think they're much of a muchness, the teams in there. I would say I'm wrong. I love League One. I won't lie. The standard of teams that you're playing are better. The quality of players that you're coming up against are better. And I'd hate to get relegated out of it. I really would, because I think I just think this season I've been gutted. I haven't been able to do as many away games as I wanted to. But some of the stadiums that we've been able to visit this year, the Charltons, the Sheffield Uniteds, coming up to Bolton, the Bradfords of this world, I think getting relegated would just be a gutter, because I think there's some. I looked at Coventry, who were at the bottom of the league. And yet they were a decent team, and they had Yakubu, who was making obviously his debut for them. But they had a decent team. They just attracted Stuart Bevan, who I think is a very good striker from Burton. I just would be gutted to be relegated, because I think the standard of football, and I've really enjoyed the home games this year, which I've seen of all of them, because of the standards. It's just that much better.
But then that leads me to the second thing I wanted to touch on, which was squad. We're worried a little bit about squad depth at the moment. George Frankham struggling a little bit to adapt to a right-back role, for an example, an area where we've struggled of late. You've mentioned there that perhaps substitutes we have not having the impact you'd want them to have. Certainly not the impacts we were seeing last season, when Neil Ardley got his substitution spot on all the time, and they were coming on and making a big difference, especially in that run-in towards the end of the season. We don't have that. So should we survive in League One, our budget's not going to change dramatically. We're going to have to work with the same restrictions and limitations. So are we going to be in a similar position next season? How big is this transfer window, and how important, well, not transfer window, sorry, but you know what I mean, that transfer period in the summer? What do we need to do realistically? Is our squad too old now? We've had that experience that's got us up and perhaps maintaining us at this level, but we're looking at Paul Robinson's and Danny Borman's. Is it time to move on now? Do we need to get some younger players into the squad? We must have amongst one of the highest average ages in the league.
Yeah, I think, coming through from League Two last year, there was no way that you were going to. I don't think it would be fair either for the players like Danny Borman and Paul Robinson to be let go, because their experience is that they played in League One. So you want to have that experience. I think Paul Robinson. I think let's be fair. Paul Robinson has struggled towards the latter end of the campaign. I think probably since Christmas. Danny Borman. Hey, look, I don't know what's on his birth certificate, but it ain't 38, can't be. He seems to, defy that. But I think maybe. Well,
funnily enough, I asked Yakubu about this, and Yakubu assured me that Danny Borman's age was correct, and you're going to believe Yakubu.
Exactly. I think Danny Borman probably, I think we'll release him in the summer. Tom Stores coming in has done well. You've got to try and find a place for people like Alfie Egan to come in. Alfie Egan's going to be a year older. I think Tom Beer, we need to make a decision on Tom Beer. Instead, he's just gone to Gateshead on loan since he's been there. He hasn't been heavily involved. He's been a substitute appearances, but they've won the last 3. So he's at a top. Gateshead are 6th in the conference, so he's at a top 6 club in there. I'm hoping that he comes back and can start really properly competing for that middle of the park position. Will Nightingale obviously come on Tuesday night? If we can keep Will away from being injured, then would he probably go in there? I think I'd probably would let Paul Robinson go next year. I would love to see if we can keep him in a coaching capacity or something like that, because I think his experience, that would be great for the younger kids. But Will Nightingale, Darius Charles midfield, Tom Sawers maybe going in with Jake Reeves. Up top, yes, we have problems with that, but I think Tyrone Barnett I probably would release next season. And then do you go George Oakley? At the moment, could you always say that Barnett is any better than what we've got in George Oakley? I would say there's not much in it. You've got Tosi Ozalaja possibly coming through next season. Would he make a stake?
Sorry, who?
Tosi Ozalaja.
Olisanya?
That's the one. This is why I call him Tosi, because I can't pronounce his surname.
That's
Sorry
what I
about
call it. T, isn't it? Yeah, T.
Yeah. But, again, he should be now starting to push. So we've got to start the kids that are coming through. We've got to start. Don't forget, Andy Hartigan next season is going to be an Alfie Egan. He's going to be. So our squad is still going to be supplemented heavily by our kids. But that's the model we want, isn't it? So we've just got to be a bit smarter next year on if we do and this is my opinion, if we let people like Robbo go, Danny Borman, Barnett, who I don't think is being paid that much. I don't think he's being paid too short of money. I think he's on decent money. We've just got to make sure we recruit well in those positions. And of course, if I'm being truthful, Chris Whelpdale would be one that I'd let go as well, because we don't know where he is half the time.
Yeah, it's not quite worked out for him, has it? Let's be fair.
No, and who I like, and I'm being flippant when we say I don't know where he is half the time. I was really pleased we signed Chris Whelpdale, but unfortunately his injury record is even worse than Will Nightingale's, and that's selling to us.
Absolutely. So, in a closing statement, Stu, I'm guessing what you're saying to those that are worried about relegation, the R word, don't panic. We're going to be fine.
Yes. Be confident, enjoy League One, and we need to hit some form, but we don't want to be just chugging along and just escape relegation, because you drag that in all into the new season. So we want to try and hit some form, but let's not panic, and I think we should be fine.
Cool. Well, interestingly enough, I've just looked ahead some of the fixtures coming up this weekend. We will finish the show looking at those, as well as our own games coming up, with Warsaw, that big European tie on Saturday, and then Scunthorpe next Tuesday. But let's get Poli on Go out the way now, Stu.
Yep.
Because I'm just looking at the time, and at one point I was thinking, I think it could be quite a short show this week, not got a lot to speak about. And once again, we seem to have chatted for close to an hour. So let's get going with Poli on Go.
Brilliant.
Featuring Poli on Go this week, my favourite anagram clue ever.
Okay.
If you get which stadium Dom has ended up at this week before there, don't worry, I will still give you the anagram clue.
Okay.
It's brilliant. So if that's not a way to keep you listening, I don't know what else is. Let's start with a sort of, that's the word I'm looking for, cryptic clue.
Okay.
This club that Dom has visited this week, Stu, can't calm down, don't drop any cutlery or crockery or whatever it is you've just done. This club are halfway between the Conference South and the Championship, in more ways than one.
I never get these cryptic clues. I've got a clue.
Okay. That's for some of our listeners that enjoy those more cryptic options that I give. But okay, this is a new stadium, I'll tell you that. It was built in 2008, and the club, and this is relevant to our conversation today, they moved into their stadium but had suffered a relegation the season before.
2008. Nah, I haven't got a clue.
Final clue. This new stadium, as I say, there's not a great deal to go on really. It's a pretty identical type of new stadium. So judging had to go back to the old stadium. Judging by the name of the old stadium this club played at, Dom thinks he'll have to wrap up very warm. That's also quite a cryptic clue.
Moved into a new stadium in 2008, got relegated. I can't think of anyone that's new grounds. Trying to think of new grounds that people moved into. So what have we got? Burton's originally didn't get relegated. Barnet, no, that was a lot more new. No, I don't know. I'm struggling to say.
Okay, I might just give you a clue. What division is halfway between the Conference South and the Championship?
That would probably be what? League 2.
So just have that in mind whilst I give you the anagram clue.
Okay.
Lord, give me the strength to get through this without laughing. The anagram clue is: Seaman, come into my two hose. So childish.
How am I supposed to concentrate on the last? Well, sorry, repeat that. I didn't quite catch what you said.
I can. Right. The anagram clue is: Seaman, come into my two hose.
And is that a name on the ground? Yeah.
In its entirety, yes.
Joe, I think I've got it, but only because of how many I'm thinking it is the Colchester United.
Well done. I am very impressed. Do you know the name of that stadium by any chance?
Judging by the S, it's got to be a stadium, isn't it? Oh no, because there's.
It is a stadium, yeah.
Yeah, was it Colchester something stadium? It must be. I can't remember what it is.
The Western Homes Community Stadium.
But it's only because you gave me League Two. A new stadium, it just got to me. It must be.
Yeah, to be fair, I think it is just an anagram of Western Homes Community. I don't think the word stadium is actually in there, but it still works. The cryptic clues, by the way, halfway between the Conference South and the Championship. It is a League Two club, but it's also halfway, I believe, between Chelmsford in the Conference South and Ipswich in the Championship.
Okay.
Geographically, I think it's about halfway between the two.
Yeah.
And then, judging by the old stadium, Layer Road. You'd have to wrap up warm, you'd have to wear lots of layers.
See, Layer Road, I remember the old ground, Layer Road. Yeah, I remember that. But I was struggling with the 2008. You're just trying to think of that one.
But no, a great Polion go this week. So thank you very much to Dominic Polion for those clues. He'll hopefully be travelling to, Scunthorpe next Tuesday. But before we go there, to the team currently second in League One, we host Warsaw. Big European tie with the Polish side. They're currently banging mid-table. After an opening day defeat at the Bescott Stadium, we'll be looking for revenge, won't we? We'll take a point, I think. But it is actually a winnable game. And actually, a victory will take us to win 3 points of them and really help our push to avoid falling down into a relegation battle. So it's a winnable game, isn't it, when you think about it? It really is. It could be a lot worse fixtures. We've mentioned about how some of the more difficult games we've got coming up. Warsaw at home, mid-table side, nothing to play for.
Yeah, do you know what? I think it is a difficult game. I really do. We know that crikey, they must have the smallest player. Well, Coventry City have a lot of small players, but they've got the little wizard in midfield, isn't it? The Ostuma, who's the ex-Peterborough United player. Just looking through, he's got 13 goals this season. One below that is Bakayoko, who's got 9. So. He's their top goal scorer. It very much looks, if you can stop the little wizard from performing, then you've got half a chance against Walsall. So we've got to really make sure we have a look at how we look at how we're going to play him. He gave us all sorts of problems in the game up at the Bescott Stadium, isn't it?
It is indeed. Do you really want ever to stop the little wizard from performing?
I just think I was mesmerised by him when I saw him. I just think he's a brilliant little player, I really do, but I just want to make sure Danny Ballman or whoever just kicks the lumps out of him. They're on good form. If it was home form, they've won their last 4, and it's pretty scary when you think about it. They beat Sheffield United 4-1, Bristol Rovers 3-1, and then beat Peterborough 2-1, 2-0, I think, last time out. Sorry. It's a tough game. I don't think there's no getting away from it. Head to head, last one we had was obviously the going over the game season. 12th place in the table is the highest they've been all season. They had been as low as 20th this year, so they did start off terribly after they played us. They didn't really do too well after that. So, winnable game. If I'm being truthful, I'll take a draw. But we should be winning our home games if we want to get this points out here as quick as possible.
The other games that took my notice, we were talking about Coventry and trying to make up that seemingly unassailable gap to safety. They host Swindon on Saturday, and then on Tuesday they travel to Bury. So you mentioned earlier about teams in that area playing against each other, and some great examples there. So those are definitely the other games to look out for in our division this week.
Yeah, there are some humdingers, isn't there? I'm just looking here.
I love that word. Humdinger. It might be the first time you've said that on the podcast, actually.
Yeah. We got Sheffield United, Bolton, Shrewsbury going to franchise. I don't know. I think Shrewsbury could do well there. What else we got? Gillingham, Southend United on form could push Gillingham even into more trouble. Coventry City, Swindon Town, scrap at the bottom. Bury going to Charlton getting beat on the week. Yeah, there's some good games. There's some good games coming up. Hopefully Bristol Rovers, they play at home to Scunthorpe, so hopefully Ryan Sweeney can kick some lumps out of their forwards for us. But yeah, it's getting to that part of the season now, isn't it? It's just getting to that squeaky bum time, isn't it? Where points mean good all the time, but these points are precious points at the moment. So good time of the season for us all.
It is, but that is another quote to end this week's show on. I think their points make good all the time. Anyway, thank you very much, Stu. I think that is going to bring us to the end of this week's show.
No problem at all.
Playing you out again this week to the sound of these fine gentlemen. So please, 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 if you haven't already, follow them on Twitter and Facebook. On Twitter, look them up at TheseFGentlemen. You can also visit their website, thesefingentlemen.com. And their track Sorry, which we're listening to right now, is out for release now. Check them out on iTunes. If you happen to be in Morristown, Indiana, you can catch them June the 10th. They'll be in concert at the MSN Festival. So there you go. Otherwise, leaves us to say, if you are on Twitter, follow us as well, please, at 9YRS Podcast. Facebook as well, search for us, 9YRS Podcast. Instagram, 9YRS Podcast. And, of course, our website, 9yrspodcast.org. My programme article was put up on that website last week. And, Stu, over the next couple of days, I'm going to get your article from the What fanzine up there as well, for people that didn't get a chance to see it.
Superb.
So keep an eye out for those. And otherwise, just like to say, please join us again next week, where we're going to be joined by former Sutton United goalkeeper / goalkeeping coach / apparently caretaker Wayne Shaw to discuss Stu's choice of pies for his wedding day and the sudden proliferation of inappropriate publicity stunts in the world today. We'll see you then. Okay, well, this was a fairly, inconspicuous, not really noteworthy sort of stage, to be honest. So, I know, calm down, Stu.
Sorry, my fiancé just dropped her remote control, then just dropped her phone. She's trying to be quiet.
She's doing a good job. I didn't hear a thing.